good morning and God bless you.
Thank you.
Good morning.
All right. I don't know if you noticed lately, but it's hot out
It's hot in here too.
here. Well, some people are hot in here. I'm going to go there. All right. It's interesting to me. I'm going to have to look up, Megan, who wrote that today's word, because they use the word pregnant, which is, and your goddaughter, is it?
Yes.
Is pregnant too. But that's a word that we used to use in Unity. I don't know. All the old people like me would do it. And then, it's just nowadays it's kind of like people look at you weird thinking that we're physical pregnant. When we're talking spirituality, we talk about pregnant. It's the same thing essentially. We're growing. We're in a new environment. We're being able to be open to new ideas. So I really enjoyed having that in that lesson. I don't know if anybody, did anybody notice it was in there in the daily word, the word pregnant? Oh, well, okay, maybe not. Maybe I just heard it, nobody else did. Who knows?
That happens.
Okay, a thermometer does what? It gauges the temperature outside, doesn't it? And so lately, we can easily see that it's been hot outside. And it really doesn't make a difference to me what the thermometer says, because it really doesn't make a difference to live in different parts of the country about that, because of the fact that when the humidity is it's just what it feels like outside. And it depends on what you're doing too. Usually when I'm outside, it's one of the extreme or the other. I'm outside working fairly heavily, so it gets sweaty, real sweaty, or we're outside swimming, getting cool off. So anyway, the thermometer detects the temperature outside, and it tells us kind of what we're going to expect when we go outside. But it's different. It would be different. I know that this doesn't happen, but it would be different if it were 90 degrees in the summer, which would be hot, or 90, which isn't going to happen. This isn't going to happen. 90 degrees in the winter, which it wouldn't be as hot.
Depends on where you are.
It depends on where you are. But Jim and I, or any pilot in here knows, which is it better? Which do you have more lift in, winter or summer? Do you remember?
Summer.
It's always cold weather.
It's always cold weather, winter, because the air is thicker.
The thermal.
And so it takes a lot less to take a plane off in the winter, as far as runway, than it does in the summer. And so you think about what I think about sometimes, Phoenix, Arizona. That place, that airport is almost always hot. And that has a long runway. And it isn't uncommon this time of the year that all flights are stopped, all commercial flights are stopped, because they don't have enough runway yet. Because it's too hot for the planes to take off. And so it happens quite often out there, actually. But anyway, so we have these gauges and things that tell us on the outside what the temperature is. But here at church, what are we looking at more importantly than that? Is what is on the inside. And so what tells us, we do and we don't. We don't have a physical thermometer inside of us, but we do have a spiritual thermometer inside of us, believe it or not. And so what do we use as our thermometer? We use our understanding and our willingness to be pregnant, if you will, to open ourselves up to the ideas of how can it be different for me in the situation that made me mad, or whatever it is, okay? Made me heated, right? And so if you get to that place, which we all have been at some point or another, even if it goes back to our childhood, no, I'm not going to tell her. Anyway, if you've seen yourself's the best example, because that's what you're trying to improve on anyway, is to find out what happened to me, or at least we should look introspectively, what happened when I got mad about something. Was it something that had to do with the moment? Yeah, sure, probably had something to do with the moment at that time. Did it have to do with the temperature outside? Did it have to do with my physical temperature on my body? And it does have to do with that, because when we get hot physically, what happens to us? We're kind of a little bit more irritable, aren't we? Usually. And we're a little bit more irritable and like, I don't feel like doing hardly anything, it's so hot outside. But on the inside, we have to know that that's affecting us. And if we know that that's affecting us on the outside, then we can learn how to, like anything in life, learn how to, from the inside, exude to the outside. Okay? So in other words, if I can keep myself calm and cool in the inside, the outside's not going to bother me as much, if at all. We we used to, and we still do sometimes in unity, call this being prayed up. Being prayed up means that you are close enough to God, that you are in a regular practice of knowing that this is my source. And you know, I'll tell that story again. I won't tell it. I'll try not to tell it anymore, but I think it's funny. It's not really, though, if you run the other end of it, I guess. But you know, when I was working at Unity Village, these minister friends of ours, Tom and what you call her, Lee, Therese Lee, were friends of ours, and Tom and I worked in management at Unity, and Therese, I think, was doing something for them. But anyway,
Yes.
the CFO came by once, and you know, we didn't always see eye to eye on how to do things. So she usually left me and my departments alone, and I usually, you know, didn't do anything to make her mad. So anyway, but one time she came by and she wasn't happy about something. I don't even remember what the subject was. But Therese and all of us kind of said at the same time, said, because she brought up the idea, don't forget who signs your check. And we said, our source is God, not you. Because we were all ministers, you know, and we were at the headquarters of the Unity. We thought, oh, that's kind of a lot of common sense. But, so anyway, do you think that made her happier? No, it didn't make her happier. And we should have known that. So we don't want to entice people to be mad at us. But anyway, we have to know what to do and when to do it. We can get our point across in different ways at different times without making other people get hot or. So, do we forecast what is ahead? Yes, we do. And how do we do it? Just like I said, prayed up, being prayed up. If we have a regular time of prayer and meditation, similar to what Reverend Francie did, you know, here in Sunday service, it's very short and very small. But you'll be surprised, and I know a lot of people already know this, but you'll be surprised when you get into this practice of praying and meditating and giving yourself time to relax, calm the body. Not only what it does for you in your everyday life, but also what it does for you in your what you learn from it. You become into that, and I'm going back to it again. You come into that pregnant stage where you're open to new things as far as spirituality and learning about them. And it's so amazing what you can come up with. Because you know, I still got some things from meditation back in seminary that I cannot exactly explain yet, but it's very clear to me at the time. And it's still clear to me what it was, but why it was, I don't know yet. So anyway, you learn a bunch of different stuff about that. But I gotta, let me see this first. Changing emotions and feelings, though, is part of our humanity. And we don't really want to lose that because, you know, like I said, when my mom died, I said, you know, and of course it was emotional and all that, and I said, I never want to lose that feeling, even though she's physically not here. And over time, you do lose some feelings over it. It just happens. But, you know, you still want to remember the closeness you had with somebody. And remember the good times only. Usually time does that, not always. The only way it doesn't do that, because good is a force in itself. Bad, evil is not. So if we had a bad words right before somebody passed that was key in our life, and we, you know, years down the road when we think about that, still think about that situation instead of thinking of the good, then what's happening is we're holding on to that bad. We are using our power, ignorantly to be quite honest, to keep a hold of something that is hurting us. You think it's hurting the person that's dead? No, it's not hurting them. It's not hurting them at all. It's hurting you. So we can't do that. We have to be able to understand our feelings and our emotions, because as part of humanity, that helps us to understand what temperature we're at, really, at the time, and with who. And so we have to look at things differently and be open to things. The highs of summer and the lows of winter happen outside, but they also happen inside, and it doesn't make a difference what season it is. And so we have to be careful about what we do and how we stay prayed up. Your spirituality keeps the thermometer at a pleasant temperature, and that's different for everybody. You know, I know, I think I've talked to Jim about this before, and I think you and Rachel keep it pretty cool in your house, don't you? In the summer. In the winter too, I guess. And then, different people like it at different temperatures. So what your temperature is can be different than somebody else to be comfortable. It doesn't have to be the same thing. So we never know what somebody else's is unless we talk to them about it. It really doesn't make a difference what theirs is. We want to stay cool in our own right. And we never know, though, what someone else is thinking. And so we want to present a positive attitude and positive ideas to other people, whatever we're close to. I wanted to share a story with you today. It's about, trying to think of the show. It was years ago. We used to watch it sometimes. They would go out and buy storage. It was called Storage Wars. They'd buy storage bins, Well, this one guy, one of the main characters that used to buy storage bins, made his transition, I don't know, 2-3 months ago, wasn't it? If you know about him. Anyway, I think his nickname was the Maverick. It was Daryl Sheets was his name.
Oh, yeah.
You remember? Yeah, he made his transition a couple months ago. And one of the other key players he made his transition, and I say that's it, okay, transition. Because it doesn't make a difference, because I don't want you to change your mind when I tell you what happened. He committed suicide, okay? That shouldn't make a difference to anybody. Although some people especially if they're brought up, in a different religion or something, think that if you committed suicide, you committed a sin and all this stuff. Doesn't make a difference, okay? So anyway, he committed suicide. And he did leave a note. And he said that he was being cyberbullied and that some other things about, really not having close relationships is what it was. And so, granted, that's a little bit on me if I did that, okay? You have to be willing to accept goodness in your life. You do have to be willing to do that, or you can't do either side of this. But what I was bringing up this story for was because one of the other key players in the show said after his transition is that, I wish I would have been a better friend to you. That's not the time to say that. I mean, it's the time to say, I guess, to maybe learn for next time, for all the people in your life now. But now is the time to say, hey, I appreciate you, I like you, all this stuff. The other junk that you don't like about people, that's in your mind. Forget about that. If you want to, if somebody makes you feel uncomfortable, figure out what's going into it for you. I told this story before about my Uncle Gary. He's been gone for a long time, but for a short time there, he worked at Boeing, and everybody knows Boeing, the main plane manufacturer. And one time, he had this college degree and everything. And he was a nice guy, but he was something else. And he tripped my triggers. That's no doubt. But he was at Boeing. I think I've told this story before. And he got in trouble once, and his supervisor brought him in the office. And this was a long time ago, because they can't really do this anymore. But he dressed him down, yelled at him, and all this stuff. Well, Gary, I wasn't there, but this is the way the story went. Gary started laughing at him. And of course, like when I said that to the CFO, that wasn't really the thing to do. But if you think about it, he had the right attitude. You throwing stuff at me is not going to affect me. I'm not going to let it. I've got a shield around me that if you want to throw your stuff at me, it's just going to bounce off. What is the old saying? I'm rubber, you're glue, whatever you say to me bounces off me and sticks to you. I remember that. I can't believe that. Anyway, I like that one better than Sticks and Stones, because Sticks and Stones, anyway. So, we have to remember that staying cool in hot situations, is having peace in your life. You are responsible for your own peace. And I was talking, somebody asked me the other day when I was getting one of the hoses for the tractor. He asked me, because during the week I usually wear my Unity shirts, t-shirts when I'm working. And all the time really, right?
That's his secondary wardrobe.
Anyway, so he asked me what I do, and I told him, and where was I going with the story?
About being cool.
Temperature.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a good story. Anyway, if I remember, I'll tell you. Oh, having peace in your life. We're responsible for our own peace. So no matter what happens in our life, we have to be the ones that say, okay, hold on. They don't control my life. No matter who it is, no matter what the situation is, they do not control your life. You control your life. And you have to be able to stand up. Oh, that's what I was going to say about him. You have to be able to stand up and tell people, or tell yourself mainly, that they don't have control over you. It's not necessarily you have to tell them, because they're going to think what they think anyway. But I went in there and told him, because I told a lot of people that, unity is by far in Christianity, in any religion, I think, the most self-responsible religion there is out there. Because we'll tell you right out in our teachings, you are responsible for how you feel.
That's right.
And even though that we don't say it as much anymore, because I think it's PC and all that stuff, and don't hurt anybody's feelings, but that's just the truth of the matter. Mm-hmm. We have to come back to that a little bit to help people in that guy's, in Daryl Sheets' situation, because I guarantee you, if he was going on a regular basis to Unity Church and paying attention to Unity teachings, he wouldn't have done that. Because he would have had somebody he could reach out to. And everybody in here, I hope, has somebody to reach out to. Just in here, right now. Not even the other people that haven't shown up today. So hopefully, if you don't, please communicate with each other after service.
Warren, can I say something?
Yeah.
There is a chemical imbalance too, or whatever, in the
Sure.
brain, that some people cannot help depression.
Now, I'm not talking necessarily about depression,
Okay,
but
but-
you're right. You're right exactly, because there are chemical imbalances, but we can also take care of that too. You know what? Because, I was told, we had this guy, I think I told this story before too. We had a very well-respected minister in Unity named Duke Tufty. He used to have the temple on the plaza. It's a big, really big church, 1,600 in the main sanctuary. It has 3 sanctuaries. Anyway, he brought that church back to life. But he and I were talking about something one day, and I told him, and this was in seminary, so it wasn't that terribly long ago. I told him, I said, I'm just totally against drugs. Totally against them. All kinds of drugs. And he said, he kind of looked at me and said, well, Warren, you know that drugs were a divine idea too? That somebody who is missing, their body isn't chemically producing what they need to produce, somebody, a doctor or somebody, some researcher, figured out that this thing, if you add this to them, if they take this, then it will give them that balance again. And I thought, where the heck have I been all these years? Well, of course that's true. So we have to think about, once, you can't, that can affect depression and a lot of things, schizophrenia, all sorts of things can affect how you take in our messages too. So you're right there. It has to be something that you have to be on an even playing ground to begin with. But Fillmore describes this: peace and harmony and tranquility derive from awareness of the Christ consciousness. That's what peace is. Peace I leave with you, from John 14:37. My peace I give unto you. A lot of people, I don't understand why, but they don't understand what Jesus was saying there. He's talking about the peace outside of you he's leaving with you right now, which really doesn't mean too much. But the peace he has, he's giving you, helping you to realize that you have that within you. And that's one thing where we, as far as unity, separate from a lot of Christianity. You can be like Jesus.
Right.
And a lot of Christianity says, oh no, don't touch that stick. Don't touch that, I'll lose some of my power. But you can be like Jesus. These things and greater you shall do. So if you want to know more about that, then you have to be open to that. You have to be pregnant. I'm the only one that heard it. We're pregnant. Anyway, steadfast affirmations of peace will harmonize the whole body structure and open the way to attainment of health conditions in mind and body. And, actually, I'm glad we got to that, and I'm glad you brought that up, Sandy, because the fact that there is, I believe still, that there is a point where you can get in your spiritual growth where you do not need some supplements sometimes in certain areas. And so, you know, obviously too, I told you all before that I think that in AA, I think there should be a 13th step that says, I am free from the hold that alcohol ever had on me. And I know there's not, and I know there's good reason really for not having that. And I hope that we get to that point where people can say that and live that. That's can be the hard part, but can be the easy part too, is living it. That's what we're talking about in all this, is living it. And so we go on and say, the way to bring peace to a hot situation allows others in the situation and even outside the situation to learn a better way. And there is a better way, obviously. I don't know if any of you have been in a situation where mob mentality, which is a true thing, has ever taken over. And it's the weirdest thing. People you'd never think would get into that situation. And it's, and I don't know if it's even happened to you, maybe not in a large people situation, but the thing is that something triggers a lot of people at the same time. And they get angry about it, physical about it. And it's the weirdest thing because it's like, wow, you know, did I even experience that?
Talking about the Democrats and Republicans when we
No, I
start
wasn't
getting
talking
to
about
go. No, but that's what mob mentality. We get to going on who
yeah.
we're for, and it's like, okay,
Yeah,
that's
could
what
be,
I was thinking.
could be. But really what I was thinking about is even stronger than that is a specific situation on July 4th in Wichita, Kansas, in this, the Wichita State University football field. They used to put off these fireworks, great presentation all the time. And I know that I'm sorry I bore you again with another story that I told before. But we were leaving, and this whole group, for some reason, it was way too crowded, first of all. I mean, that seated what, 30,000 probably? Around that. Anyway, it was way too crowded. Okay, everybody enjoyed fireworks, but afterwards, it was like crazy deal. And you had these pockets where they were having fist fights. And it was like, I got to get through this. You know, and there was probably no room to move through it without, excuse me. And of course, you know, you don't want to get involved in it, but you do sometimes. So you have to bring peace yourself. And the way you bring peace and not get hot yourself is what? Prayed up. Prayed up. You be prayed up. Be a peacemaker. A peacemaker is one who has the ability to say peace to the turbulent waves of thought and have them obey. I have to tell this story, of course. Grace, our daughter. Where were we anyway?
Galveston.
Oh, it was Galveston. Oh, okay. We lived in Wichita.
First time we took him to the beach.
And Grace was 3? No, she was more than that.
No, she was littler than that.
Littler than that.
Yeah, she was like 2.
Oh, okay. Anyway, we went out into the Gulf. And, you know, she had not experienced it before, of course. And the waves were splashing her. And she had been in Sunday school, of course, and she said, peace, be still. Believe it or not, the waves stopped hitting her. I couldn't even believe it.
She believed it, though.
She did believe it.
Yes.
She did believe it.
Yes.
It was amazing. I still think about that sometimes and think, wow, okay, give me some of that.
Well,
As an
kids-
adult.
Kids that are close to God.
Yes. A peacemaker is one who reduces to peace and harmony all the thoughts of strife, anger, and retaliation in his own mind. Uh-oh, we switched it, didn't we? So if you go into that mob mentality, like I was talking about at the Cessna Stadium, and you go in there with a peaceful attitude, is everybody going to stop fighting? No.
But someone.
They will at some point, but not right then. Maybe, maybe not. But some might, like Reverend Francie said. Somebody might get that. Y'all have heard of auras, haven't you?
Yeah.
Okay, in fact, we were talking about it this morning, weren't we? You have an aura around you. How big it is kind of up to you, to be quite honest. And how much you exude that, which is the size of it, is up to you. The color of it is up to you. Sometimes, obviously, most of the time, we don't know what we're doing as far as our aura. But let's change that to we're knowing. So, you have this aura around you. And if somebody gets in that aura, even if they're in mob mentality, they're going to feel it. They're going to feel it. And all we're doing is planting the seed, planting the feeling, planting the motion. that could change their life forever in a positive way. He continues, the ability to say peace to thoughts and have them obey entitles man to sonship of the Most High. And from the Beatitudes, I think, blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the sons of God. No, that isn't.
Yeah, it is.
Is it? Okay. I don't know why I'm going blank on what it is. From Matthew 5:9. Why would they be called sons of God? Because, if you go through the Beatitudes and you look at them and you try to figure out, why would that mean you're this? Because what does God want for us? Peace. Does God want strife for you? No. Even if you think God is up there, an old man in this road, I damn thee! You are smited! You think he does that? You're wrong, first of all. Sorry to tell you that. But, like any loving father or mother, either one. That's why we say sometimes in unity, Father, Mother, or Mother, Father, God. Is because we all have, no matter what our outside sex is, we have those traits inside of us. We have feelings as a male, and we have strength as a female, okay? Just as examples. So, when we think about God and a parent or someone you love, what do you want for your loved one? You want the best for them, don't you?
Yes.
You don't want strife and them to be smited, do you? And God, if God is a parent, which I believe He is, I believe in divine creation. I don't believe that you are created in sin. I believe you're created by divine creation. And that makes it a whole different story. That puts us in the responsibility stage, doesn't it? Whoa. God created me. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm going a little bit long. I'm going to speed up. So when we exhibit peace in the midst of turmoil, we are most like God. We are most like God when we create peace in turmoil. Of course, when's the hardest time to exhibit peace? In turmoil, right?
Right.
When we have something facing us that it can be unpleasant, that's the time we need to use it the most. And to do that, we have to be prayed up. We have to stay in our prayer practice, in our understanding of what we are here to do. More importantly, we enjoy the peace within and don't get overheated. That's where it helps us. And that's where we should be, because we want to be at peace, don't we?
Yes.
We don't want to be all tight, what do they call it?
Jammed up and
Jammed up and jelly tied all the time. Right? You don't want to be there. And sometimes we get that way, don't we? Oh, I got to pay the bill tonight. I got to do this. I got to do that, right?
Yes.
And we get into our head here instead of our divine mind up here. We can't let ourselves do that. Okay? We got to figure out a new way. Because what happens when we're at peace and we get into start thinking about those things, if we're at peace, instead of feeling the pressure, we may feel some pressure, but instead of feeling mostly the pressure, we are starting to say, okay, God, I need another divine idea. I need to be open to the divine idea that changes this situation. Because that's what most people, when they're in a bad situation, forget. How are we going to change the situation we're in? Don't just keep staying in it. I'm not saying that at all. Don't stay in it and just say your prayers. No. Ask for guidance. Express the God in you by being a peacemaker everywhere you are. That's all we got to do. And it's not that hard once we get started. At first, it may be hard on prayer and meditation because you're not used to being silent. I'll tell you something real quick and then I'll know. My business that I had for a long time was at a very good location, Central and Hydraulic. Anyway, there was this, what we call the canal route in Wichita, is a very busy highway that was right, sort of next to it, not very far from it. And it is called the canal route, but it was lifted up. It's a lifted highway, because I-35 is what it was. I-35, I-35, if you don't know, in central United States, I-35 is a major corridor. Okay? And so that went right by the business, and it was a two-story business. And Reverend Francie, when we got married, moved in there with me. And we ended up buying a house a few years later, And when I was moving the house, there's one point in the move where I was in that new house that wasn't near I-35, and I sat down on the couch that I just moved, and my ears started ringing. I was thinking, what the heck is going on here? And it was because it was quiet.
Yes.
Can you believe that?
I did the same thing when Shannon and I got married, and we lived by 85, and he didn't, and I couldn't go to sleep. He said, "What's wrong?" I said, "It's too quiet."
Exactly.
You get used to that noise.
Yeah, you do, and that's what we have got to prevent in our turmoil or something.